Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. What is going on, Clint Nation? I don't know what this hand gesture is, but it just felt like the thing to do at the time. We got some Nolan Arenado rumors. They just won't die. This one won't go away. He rejects a trade to Houston, and now everybody's like, he's going to be a Dodger. So we're talking about that on today's show. We're also addressing the Dodgers' current infield situation, and I wouldn't say a whole lot more, but a fair amount more here on another edition of All Dodgers Live. Let's bring in my guy, Mr. Kevin Skinner. You know him as producer Kevin here on the show, and was not able to join on Monday, so that means we have some more fresh Nolan Arenado rumors to talk about here, my guy.
Yeah, it just won't die. It's much like Alec Trevelyan said to James Bond in GoldenEye, why can't you just be a good boy and die?
Is that what we're going with? We're going to...
Yep.
All right,
yeah.
I'll allow
it. 007 Days of Christmas, baby. Rest in peace, Spike TV. I don't actually know if it's a channel anymore.
I don't watch TV. I only watch this show, and we watch the comments. Guys, sound off in the comments. Let us know you're representing your Dodgers fandom today. Let us know if you want Nolan Arenado to be wearing Dodger blue, or if you're fine with him going anywhere else. It's also a Thirsty Thursday, and guys, we're going old school. Your boys drinking apple juice. But in case you don't know me, I am Clint Pasillas. I'm a longtime baseball writer, sports editor. I've been covering the Dodgers for years here on the internet. That is a guy who's also covered the Dodgers, the Padres, the Angels for spots like Sports Illustrated and others. So we've been here. We've done this. We're not just making up bullshit. I just wanted to get that out there for people who don't watch us all the time. But let's find some comments and see how people are feeling so far about Nolan. Of course, there was a trade in place for him to go to the Houston Astros. He says, no, I don't want to go there. Fans immediately say, Dodgers fans are like, hell yeah. He's like, he doesn't want to go to Houston because of their cheaters and the sign stealing scandal. It's like, no, it's just not a good time for him to maybe go to Houston when they just traded away one of their stars in the outfield. They're kind of an organization in flux. They don't have Alex Bregman. Maybe not the best time to go to Houston.
No, absolutely not. The only reason to go to Houston at this point is the Crawford boxes.
That would really help them. That would be like, what is that? We'll call that Coors Field 2.0 or something like that.
Yeah, it's right-handed. It's right-handed Yankee Stadium.
That is very, very fair. Diving into the comments a little bit here, guys. Do consider liking the show, giving this the show a subscription if you're not subscribed already. I said that backwards, but anyway, subscribe to the show. It's completely free to do. Really helps out the channel. A lot of friends in the chat. Swollen Sausage, Diane Schroeder, Denny Cortez in the chat. Timmy says they need to sign Brent Honeywell Jr. to a 14-year, $540 million deal. I think I'm out on that one. How do you feel?
I'm out on all of it.
very out on that one. Let's see. Maddyman5 Dodge asking, does one person in this chat or hosting really want Nolan Arenado? So that's funny you asked that. We're going to get to that point. But a little bit of a spoiler, the numbers tell you, we were just talking before going live, I'll spoil, that guy's probably not very high on Nolan Arenado becoming a Dodger. So again, the rumors just won't die. Before I fully go into it, I got to tell you about BetOnline, guys. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, it's all there. Check it out. Head to BetOnline today. Don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online. The game starts here. And yeah, let's reset again. Nolan Arenado rejects a trade to Houston. We don't need to bring in the Dodger fan angle of it. His quote was, says it's like paraphrasing, too early in the offseason to accept a trade. Yeah. But there's other rumors out there. He's waiting out a deal to come home. He really, really wants to be a Dodger. He's waiting for that path to get back to the Dodgers. Of course, the Dodgers this offseason have already said, we have a third baseman. It's Max Muncy. They've been known to lie a time or two here and there, or at least say untruths. what's your taste of all of this? Just let's not dive into does he fit? Does it make sense? Would he be a good fit? Put that aside. Is there any smoke to it in your opinion?
Yeah, there's always a little bit. The Dodgers are an organization that they will never say no. I know somebody tweeted out that Nolan Arenado is basically going to wait for the Dodgers to tell him point blank to his face, no. But that's just not what the Dodgers do. What is this team like? What is this organization like? We say it every stream, optionality. They're not going to just shut down the ability to acquire Nolan Arenado for no reason. So there's always a deal to be made. If he wants to be in Dodger blue that bad, guess what? That means the Dodgers price is really, really low because otherwise the Cardinals are stuck with them. And we already know at this point, I don't know how you could roster him in St. Louis after this offseason. So if he's saying, I'm only going to go to LA, man, for pennies on the dollar, I don't think they will just outright say no to that. Ishmael Sanchez, $2. Thoughts on Ha-Seong Kim landing with the Dodgers? Again, it's an option.
It's an option.
It's an option.
Yeah, I don't think they go that route personally, and to add another injured infielder, I guess it gives them some optionality later in the season if there is an injury or Gavin Lux is bad or whatever it may be. Mookie Betts needs to go back to second base or the outfield, something like that. But he's still going to command a pretty decent amount of money, and they haven't even spent that money on Teoscar Hernandez yet. And also, I don't want to talk a whole lot about Teo today. It's way too much Teoscar over the last 3 weeks of internet. We want him back. We know that. We don't need to talk about it. This is a show just specifically about this Arenado stuff. The rumor was, or the report was, the reported deal that was nixed. I guess he's owed $74 million. The Cardinals were willing to pay down 15 or 20 million or something like that of it.
It's 20.
20 million. If it's Dodge, there's a way. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. There's a way to make Nolan Arenado fit. You find a way, and we're going to talk about that more in a little bit. If they're kicking in money and picking up like a Chris Taylor, it gets them out. It's still out of under the Nolan Arenado contract sooner, which is something the Cardinals very much want. Their GM told the world on MLB Network, there's a strong likelihood he won't be here on opening day. He's also said there's a good chance we'll find a way to make it work if we don't trade him. But like you said, it's an uncomfortable. It feels like the room would be very uncomfortable if Nolan Arenado shows up, to spring training there at Cardinals camp, and I think it's in Jupiter, Florida. That feels like an uncomfortable situation. But also, if he's waiting out the Dodgers, that also feels like it can be uncomfortable for just him. That time has passed. It's very much past.
Yep. If he wanted to be with the Dodgers, he should have forced his way onto the Dodgers 3 years ago when the Rockies traded him. That was the time. The rumors were in the air. The Rockies continue to rocky, and they sent him to St. Louis along, and then still paid him to be in that trade. Blows my mind. I don't get it. I don't understand. Sell the team, please.
Kenny Chung saying hell nah to Arenado. JR says everyone saying Arenado is washed must not see Muncy is also washed. I disagree on the Muncy because if you look at the old school counting stats, on paper Max didn't have a good year. If you like batting average, Max didn't have a good year. If you buy into weighted runs created plus, if you buy into OPS, Max had a very, very good year. You would like to have him healthy longer, so he would put up probably his standard 30 to 35 homer, stat line was somewhere in the 90 RBI range, even with a low batting average and still finding his way on base. But that was not, the hand he was dealt because he didn't go to the chiropractor until much later in the offseason. $1.99 super chat from our friend Richie Flores says Nolan just renewed his AARP card. No thanks. So really, the question comes down to this, and we're going to make this a shorter show today. So, guys, please do like the show. Please do subscribe. The big question on this is it's a sort of two-parter. Do the Dodgers need a Nolan Arenado? And I don't know if this is the right way of saying it, but do the Dodgers have the best infield in baseball? Probably not. I think it's a closer debate than we all think. But let's talk some Mookie, Freddie, Lux, Muncy, how all of that melting pot works and where Nolan Arenado can plug in, because all of those guys kind of have their set spot. And then you mix in Chris Taylor still around and Gavin Lux. But, you got Freddie. First base, locked in next couple of years. Gavin Lux, this team has told us, hey, we're trying to trade him, or he's going to be second base. We don't quite know at this time right now. Max Muncy, they have verbatim told us he's going to be the third baseman. We expect him to be the third baseman. And they also told us Mookie Betts is going to be the shortstop. They brought back Miguel Rojas early, and they still have 1 year of Chris Taylor around. All of that, put all those names out there before we get into the idea of like teams around the league who could have a better infield. Like, just saying all the names, really, there's two names in there you like. It's Mookie and it's Freddie, of course. But I'm not like, I don't love it. Oh, I should say, I mean, I'm closer to loving it than hating it, I guess, is one way of putting it. Like, it's not some sort of crazy super mega infield, but I think we need to resign ourselves to the fact that the Dodgers aren't going to have all-stars and superstars at every single position everywhere, but at the same time, you still do have an all-star at third base, shortstop, and first base in that infield. I do want to omit catcher. To the question, do they have the best infield in baseball? Let's travel that question. What do you think?
I don't think the best infield in baseball.
Opinion. Yeah.
It's a full, like, I think the Orioles have definitely an argument for that. The Braves have an argument for that as well. Austin Riley, Matt Olson. Like, those are some serious guys. There are other teams with really good infields. The Cubs, if you wanted to talk like pure defense, also an argument for like one of the best infields in baseball.
That's fair.
I
mean,
think
they just traded away what's his name? They just traded away the third base kid, Paredes. But they still,
but they have another kid waiting in the wings that they're, I guess, supposedly pretty excited about. So I don't know. I think they're nice. The infield's nice. It's like you said, that they're not going to field, 9 different all-stars at every position.
Go ahead.
So. No, it's just, they're not going to field all-stars at every position. So, like, for what they've got, I really like it. I don't know, yes, you could upgrade at certain spots, but not with who's available.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely questions. There's concern points there. You got your wish of having Mookie Betts be the shortstop, but that's still a massive, massive question mark. Muncy being healthy, I mean, he hasn't put together a great full season since 2021, so it has been a while since we've seen good Max Muncy. The closest we saw was probably last year, but then he was hurt for a hot minute. Gavin Lux, you don't know what the true version of Gavin Lux is. It's probably something closer to what we saw in like 2022 before he hurt his neck. Maybe it's something like that, which is a very, very good ball player, albeit with issues. Everybody in that infield has some sort of question mark, some sort of issue, but you can say that all around the league. Circling the Padres, like the Padres probably, you could argue, have the best infield when it comes to name brand, when it comes to bats and some defense with Arise at first, and that's probably their weakest point.
Terrible. Yeah,
that's where they're there. But Cronenworth is pretty decent. Machado,
they want
of course,
him to platoon.
Is that
all
my
Padres?
Now?
Yeah,
they want him to, but I don't think the Padres are going to.
All of my Padres fans are Crony needs to be a platoon bat. He can't hit left-handed baseballs left-handed pitchers to save his life. The Bogarts contract looks awful. This isn't a shit on the Padres, but I'm just saying that even the Padres with name brands have a ton of holes, and they would love to upgrade at first base, and I guarantee you they'd love to upgrade at second base too, and they'd love to move on from Cronenworth's contract. We all know they definitely would love to move on the Bogarts contract. Really, the only one you love in that infield is Machado. And by the way, that team currently, I don't even know if roster's a catcher. I don't know if Luis Campusano technically.
Campusano's probably not a crazy ass, catching all-star of the future or whatever. And they let what's his name, Higgy walk, which is a terrible move on their part. Rangers sneaky good infield with the addition of Jake Berger. They still got Nathaniel Lau there, Marcus Semien, Josh Young, and of course old friend Corey Seager.
Love of my life.
It's so hard to find this perfect, complete infield. You know, this isn't the infield of decades ago where the Dodgers were able to run Garvey, Say, Lopes, Russell out there. You're not going to get those kind of infields. Even the Phillies with like Bryce Harper and Trey Turner, they're having a bunch of issues with Alec Boehm. Bryson Stott's not really like the man. You already mentioned the Braves in there. Diamondbacks don't have Christian Walker. The Mets don't have a first baseman right now, and if they do, Vientos probably isn't really a third baseman. The Giants added Willie Adames to go alongside Matt Chapman, but there's still some problems right there. And this is where I was kind of doing the homework, obviously remembering a lot of these names, looking at some of these players that are around the league I mean, I think these are the best options. What are the best 7-8 teams that you can find in baseball, including the Dodgers when it comes to talent on the infield? All of them have a question mark, including the Dodgers, and I don't think that question mark, to circle back to Arenado, I don't think that question mark is answered. I don't think the question is answered or anything is resolved with the addition of Arenado, who, I want you to get into numbers here. People need to understand, he's not a good baseball player anymore. He's not your name brand Nolan Arenado anymore. He's got a residency in Vegas. Tom Jones, Nolan Arenado right here. I don't know. That was a weird one. That was out of pocket right there. But tell the people why. Maybe you shouldn't be pining for old man Nolan, even though he's not that old.
So I want to throw this out there before I get into, because I will. Among WRC plus at second base last year with a minimum 400 plate appearances. So you had to play a good portion here at second base. Gavin Lux was 12th out of 29. He is technically above average. Just so you know, he was at 100. Marcus Semien was right below him at 99, and we consider Marcus Semien one of the best second basemen in baseball. So second base is a very hard position to fill in case anybody really quickly wants to move off Lux. There's Xander Bogaerts well below him all the way at 17. So the guys that are above him are really, really, really good, but to improve at that spot is tough. Now to the Arenado piece. Okay. So if you put Arenado right now on the Dodgers roster, he had a 719 OPS last year. That would have put him 9th on the team between Miguel Vargas, who's now suffering away in Chicago, and Andy Pages. And a lot of people think Andy Pages should be pretty much just a lefty masher. He had 16 home runs last year. That is one more than Max Muncy. But Max Muncy played half the games as Nolan Arenado. 102 WRC plus again puts him 9th between Pages and Vargas. His batting or his stats offensively away from Busch Field, I think is what the Cardinals' home stadium is.
Busch Stadium, yeah. Busch Stadium.
Yeah. His OPS away from Busch Stadium was 150 points worse at 647. There's no reason. There's nothing. He hit better against right-handed pitchers last year. So you couldn't even properly platoon him with Muncy at third base. Every single time I try to find some way of, okay, this is a reason to believe in Nolan Arenado. This is where we could plug him in. Every time I look at a number, it's no, we just, there's no reason. Max Muncy, yeah, he was injured, but good Lord, he had a 141 WRC plus last year. He's the third or fourth most valuable hitter on the Dodgers when healthy. I'm not trying to replace that guy. I also don't want him moving defensively. The numbers weren't amazing, but guess what? They were better than the year before, which is something you cannot say about Nolan Arenado. He has declined both offensively and defensively since 2022.
You could assume. I don't know if you could assume, and I agree with all that, but you could try to bank on. You could try to hope for a rebound getting out of St. Louis. I don't think the St. Louis thing ever really worked out there. I mean, the fact that they were unable to win and have some sort of dominant run with him and Paul Goldschmidt. And, speaking of a guy who fell off, Goldie out of nowhere, 2 years ago was the NL MVP, I think it was. And now we don't even talk about him.
Arenado third in that MVP voting, by the way.
It's a pretty massive problem. But you would hope if the Dodgers do go out and decide to acquire Nolan Arenado. This is me. I'm not saying I'm for it, but if they're going that way, yes, they are getting a better defender for sure at third base than Max Muncy. But Max Muncy got better at third base.
He improved.
Yeah, he improved because he put in the work. He put in the time. We said this a couple of weeks ago. It was either with you, maybe I said it with our pal Greg Bergman, but I'm pretty sure it was you and I. It feels like a forced fit, and it feels like Nolan is really trying to. If we're buying into this rumor that he's holding out, like I said earlier, he's holding out to try to find his way to the Dodgers. Hopefully they can work out some sort of trade. If they do trade Gavin Lux, maybe moving Muncy to second base, as we kind of talked around. Somebody in the chat also mentioned that as well. Kenny Chung said Muncy can't go back to second base now that the shift is banned. What's funny, of all the positions that Max has ever played for the Dodgers, he's talked often about how he prefers second base. Yep. He does have a little bit of range there. And he's got a strong enough arm, and that turn, that windup probably helps him out a whole lot as well at second base, instead of having everything be, across the diamond. You kind of get to make a backhand play, turn, fire, rear into it. That's another whole story. But if you find a way to move Gavin Lux, which if we believe other rumors, maybe they're trying to shop Gavin Lux. Somewhere in some shape or form, they are trying to move Chris Taylor, get out from under that, because they would like to be able to open up a more clear and obvious spot for Kike Hernandez. We still all assume that at some point Teoscar Hernandez is going to return, so you do need to kind of build out your roster, create some space, and you can't have 27 players just because you're the Dodgers and you want it. If the Cardinals paid down a good chunk of money, and they took on Lux, Taylor, and took one pitcher in the deal or something like that, a younger pitcher, I don't know who would even want to get rid of. I don't want to get rid of any of them, but at some point they got to make it seem like it's not just a straight up salary dump. I think you could find a way to make it work. Max has already told us as well. He said on Foul Territory a couple weeks ago, he's open to the idea of kind of being a utility guy, coming off the bench if needed. I don't know who happens to be active on the Twitter, and I'm pretty sure our friend Jeff Snyder talked about it last night on his Locked On Dodgers show. Max Muncy has played some left field in his career, or at least he stood out in left field. It's not
there. He played once.
It's not the prettiest of sights, but you know what? I've learned to not count out Maxwell Muncy when it comes to getting good at something. Now, do I want to see him try? Fuck no. Not even slightly. Max Muncy is old now as well. He's older now. To have him move to left field and maybe even be part of some platoon, which wouldn't work with Michael Conforto. Maybe it works in some way with Andy Pages, but then you got a bad defense in the outfield, definitely in left field. And again, we come back to, it feels forced. It feels like you need too many things to work out a certain way for Nolan Arenado to come here and maybe at his best, find a little bit of the fountain of youth, but more likely be mid. And it's way too much of a battle, way too much. Well, this for mid at like I guess it's not really the floor, because it could be worse, but it's still generally you could expect mid and hope for the best, and I'm not it. I'm out on it.
Yeah, I am too. I think the only way that I can look at an Arenado trade and go sure is if Arenado is totally fine being a bench bat. If he wants to come over and just be a backup third baseman, okay. They take Chris Taylor, we re-sign Kike, sure, that's fine by me. But you're not trading for Nolan Arenado to be a bench player. You're trading for him to be the only spot, the third baseman, which is the only spot he's ever played at the major league level. So I'm all out on Arenado. Somebody mentioned. I think it was Showtime saying maybe if they included Lars Nootbaar or Ryan Helsley in the trade.
The Helsley's
sure.
Yeah.
If you get one of those two in that trade, Yeah, okay, now we're talking into it because, in my opinion, you're trading for one of those guys and not Arenado, and you're just basically taking on his contract, similar to what the Dodgers did in getting Mookie and David Price. And then, like, yeah, you could stick Arenado on the bench and go, all right, man, like, you were just the reason we acquired this relief pitcher. Like, you're just part of that package. But I don't see him being okay with that either. I don't. Like, you know, it's unfortunate that we're talking about him in this light because he's a future Hall of Famer. He's one of the best, if not the best third baseman potentially ever, at least defensively. But for his standards, he has not been good, and he's not good enough to replace somebody like Max Muncy. Max Muncy right now, pound for pound, in my estimation, it's a better third baseman. I'd so much rather have him there.
When you're talking about the total package, when you're talking about the fact that Muncy's getting what, $12 million or something this year, and he's got the most team friendly deal on an option for 2026 as well. Somebody in the comments, Ray Hendrickson. I love this one. We need a corner outfielder, not another slightly above average infielder. And that's where Nolan Arenado's at the stage of his career. It's a slightly above average infielder. You're going to get most of your wins above replacement are probably coming via defense because you can still, put him down over there. Maybe some injuries, maybe, again, playing for a bad team have kind of put him in a funk. Maybe he's a little bit better. And I mean, if they find the same, like we were talking about with Juan Soto for most of this offseason, if they find a way to get Nolan Arenado somewhere deep down in my soul, I'm going to be happy because for years we've always said Nolan Arenado needs to come home. Do I think it should happen? No. Is it a good deal? No. But you find your way, and Andrew Friedman and company, they've gained enough credits with us to be like, all right, well, let's see what you're cooking. If you want to cook on this, we'll eat it. Maybe we won't like the taste, but we'll give it a try. I want to get a couple comments. We'll talk a little bit longer, and then we are going to get out of here earlier tonight. But Alfonso in the chat saying the people in here saying Arenado is too old, barely finding out Muncy is old too. Now, imagine having both of them. Yeah, imagine having both of them. He is older, and both of them being, a little bit more elderly, into their mid 30s and not getting any younger, not getting any faster. And you would assume Muncy is not going to get traded because, it's such a good deal. He's got pop, and he wants to be here.
But so there were two things I was thinking about with Muncy. Even when Muncy was bad, and by bad I mean injured, coming off like the freakiest injury I've ever seen at the worst possible time. Everybody was like, "Oh, maybe it's time to move off Muncy." You know what I always thought when he came to the plate? He could run into one right now. Uh-huh. He could absolutely just turn on a ball and just send it 400 feet up the pavilion. Nolan Arenado can't really do that anymore. He's not that dangerous. The second part is this isn't 2 years ago. Man, Max Muncy is a leader on this team. If they decide to move off him, it needs to be for a damn good reason, because that clubhouse, I promise you, will not be happy losing Max Muncy, because he's a vocal leader. We talked about that Justin Turner role from years and years ago, where every single time that somebody needed to talk, oh, hey, look, there's JT and his red beard. Now, Muncy's kind of that guy. Mookie's never he'll talk to the media when he needs to and when he has to,
very reluctantly. Yeah,
very. But Muncy's I'll do it. You just send me out there.
Sean Klein saying rather keep Muncy than Luxy. I agree with that one. And a Lux move. I think Lux going to St. Louis could be fun, could be beneficial for his career. I still don't think I still don't see a Nolan Arenado move happening, and I don't know, maybe something like that. I think Lux would have to be involved in the deal. He's still under team control, and he's still pretty cheap. We did get a $5 super chat a little bit ago. Zip code 0, appreciate you. Zip code 0 asking, what is the likelihood Teo or Santander is on the team? We don't need Nolan Arenado. So that's another question I have. So appreciate the super chat and getting us there to this question. Is Nolan Arenado, can we view him as a sort of fallback if they're unable to land, re-sign Teoscar Hernandez, fully assuming that Teo's going to come back, and everything we keep hearing, sources I've heard from there, that even I get the sources occasionally, it's super dang close to happening. It's really down to the deferrals that they're apart on. But if somehow Teoscar was signed elsewhere, could Nolan be that sort of right-handed backup that makes them not have to have Will Smith batting cleanup again? It's okay to say
like,
no. It's just like
no,
immediate no.
well, no, that's the thing. Well, because you're betting on two things, or you're betting on one thing, and that he turns into, Nolan Arenado of 2 years ago. Because last year he was better against right-handed pitching, like I mentioned. So he's not even like a good right-hander replacement. Because what did Teoscar do? He just killed lefties. He solved the Dodgers' left-handed pitching problem with one swing. It's crazy what he like. And again, more reason why you need to re-sign him.
And their postseason hitting issues.
Yeah, he did everything. Now, granted, Nolan Arenado for his career is significantly better against left-handed pitching. However, he didn't do that last year. And I'm a big "what have you done for me lately" guy. Man, if he's hitting right-handed pitch, how many times did they try to get Trace Thompson? I know they're different players. Like, trust me, I get it. But Trace Thompson hit left-handed pitching, he just couldn't do it. This team is too good to be making those kind of bets right now. We need guys that are guys, and if they want to take bets on people, let it be on rookies. Let it be on kids. Easily replaceable. They've got options. They can send them down. But otherwise, no.
To say it slightly differently, they need guys that are dudes. I would rather see them. I mean, we're starting to see a lot of on Twitter in particular, starting to see not a lot, but you're starting to get more love for somebody like Alex Freeland, who's ready to break down the door and at least get a cup of coffee at the big league level. They have some dudes around. Austin Gauthier was not taken in the Rule 5 draft. He's around. I would rather see them stay cheap, stay in-house, stick with what they have, and bring back Teoscar Hernandez. $10 super chat from Nick Mari. Appreciate you, Nick, for hanging out with us in the chat. Says, agreed, the fit feels forced. Feels like if the Dodgers were to do this, one, maybe they feel like they can make changes in the swing, which I do agree with. Two, they think Muncy's defense might regress sooner than later. And then three, max to second base. Again, that is the most logical one, and I appreciate the comment. Good comment. And look at that, nicely lined out for the show here. If Lux is involved in that trade, there is a little bit of a, you move down and Nolan plugs into third. Is it pretty? No. Is it a good infield defense? I mean, it helps the left side, I guess, with Mookie, where range wasn't necessarily his issue. You have Mookie, you have Nolan Arenado, and then you have Muncy trying to be a second baseman again. And let's talk about the elder statesman in here, Freddie Freeman at first base. You got a lot of open air on that right side of the infield. Again, forced. We'll keep circling back to that. And I'll say this one just for fun. We don't need to throw it out there, but I wrote this down because I wanted to say it to piss people off. And it's like, if the Dodgers think they need a third baseman, Alex Bregman's available via free agency. Just go do that. Piss everybody off. Obviously, it's not going to happen. But
$200 million is a little rich for my blood.
He's not. He's so not going to get that. My God, what a terrible. Is his agent Boris?
I think he's a Boris. Let me know.
If it is, Boris is just working out of pocket right now. I'll tell you right now.
Oh, he's playing with cash, or he's playing with house money.
House money, point. Absolutely.
Yep, he is. It's a Boris guy.
There you go. Scotty Boris will do that to you. I mean, I feel like that's about it. Final thoughts on this for me, and then you could sound off. Really, I want to focus on the best infield in baseball part. Like, do the Dodgers have the best infield in baseball, which is both has to do with Nolan and the trade rumors and not. No. The answer is no. They do not have the best infield in baseball. But I still say it's an intriguing unit. I still say it's not out of the conversation of a top 3, a top 5, if every piece is doing what they're supposed to do. If Muncy can play an okay defense like we saw last year, and just basically be the same guy he was last year, but over the course of, 145 games, Mookie can do what you've been wanting him to do, play shortstop at an average level. Just give us average.
Average. That's what we want from Muncy too, by the way. Average third base. That's all you got to do.
And get me Lux doing something closer to what we saw in the middle of the summer. Keep that defense also in the forefront. And Freddie, you do Freddie. He rolls out of bed and he's just going to hit. That's what he, for the most part, does.
He's a good first baseman too, by the way. Like, defensively, he's a good first baseman.
And the other factor mixed into all of that, Miguel Rojas is still around. We don't know. I don't anticipate him being the same guy who was kind of hot for most of last year, even though, he hit 270. But when you expect, like, the Mendoza line, 270 is really, really hot, I guess. He's still around, and we know you have a premium defender that can do what they always wanted. He can go play some second, go play some short, go play some third. I like this infield unit. Yeah, it doesn't have Bryce Harper, it doesn't have Trey Turner, it doesn't
Bobby
have
Witt
Seager,
Jr.,
it doesn't have a
whatever.
Bobby Witt
Yeah.
Jr., but it's a pretty intriguing unit. We got a super chat, and then I want your final thoughts on it. But $10 from I am Donovan73. Thank you very much. Donovan, or I am, if that's your first name. I think we already have too many high-risk players. Literally just ran through high-risk players. Max being fat, says I'm fat too. Hey, preaching to the choir. Is always an injury waiting to happen, and Lux is already a negative sum gain. Let's not add more with Nolan. And I agree. I think you're picking up a lottery ticket that has half the number scratched off with Nolan. Maybe there's a ticket under there. Maybe there's absolutely nothing. But give me your final thoughts and let's get out of here.
I think for my money, I'd let it go unless the deal is so good they can't walk away from it. Like I said, the Dodgers aren't, I'll come full circle here. The Dodgers aren't an organization to ever flat out say no. They're always going to be
fair.
If you play by our rules, if you do what we want, sure, we'll play ball. So I think there's always a deal to be made. I would prefer they didn't. Just leave Max at third, leave Mookie, like leave the guys where they are, because like we talked about, Max's defense has improved. Gavin kind of finally found some footing at second base. I'd like to see what we could get a full year out of both those guys heading into 2024 or 2025. If Nolan Arenado wants to be a backup infielder, sure, bring him on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about backup, but like some sort of timeshare type of thing.
It'd be a role player. He wouldn't
be a role.
I don't think he'd be an everyday starter.
Lux could be some sort of role player. Again, it's there. The path is awkward. That's what we'll leave you guys at. But DM24 says, can we just trade Lux already? I'm sure they're trying. We hear they're trying.
Yeah.
But guys,
almost did.
Cole says, Clint Nation, get ready for that Arenado to the Dodgers emergency podcast. Yes, sir. We will be back if there's any sort of news, if a Teo re-signing happens, if the Nolan Arenado deal, if he comes to LA, I don't want to talk about him going elsewhere. I don't necessarily care about doing an emergency show about that. We will be back. We will be around. So that's why it's a good idea to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can know when we do go live. Always let the people in our Discord server know when we're going live. If you guys do want to join us on Discord, you have to support the show through Patreon or through YouTube members. It's $5 a month to join the either of those platforms. You only need to join one, and one, you're being kind and supporting independent Dodgers coverage here on the internet, so we appreciate you with that. But two, you do get access to that Discord server. Again, we're talking Dodger baseball all year long, so do check that out. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hopefully we did earn a subscription from you on the way out. Thank you for the super chats from you fine folks, the questions, the comments, the engagement here on the show. Appreciate you guys. Also couldn't do this show without you. You're all, everybody's important. We promise you that.
Love all of you.
Sometimes I just say a bunch of things. Shout out to the mods for doing a kick-ass job in the chat, as always, keeping things clean but not clean. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. That is producer Kevin. Give him a follow at Skinner7Kevin on the X machine. Go do that. Let's get him to $200 followers
that'd be great.
for Christmas. I'm Real FRG on all of the platforms. All the links are in the description of this video. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.